Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kevin with his speech, Obesity in Ireland.
Madam Toastmaster, Mr. President, fellow guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Tonight I'm going to talk to you all about obesity in Ireland. It's a very topical issue at the moment, and it's especially pertinent and relevant due to the huge following for Operation Transformation on RTE, which many of you may be watching. It's a very common problem, and I'll run through it in three different stages. Firstly, I'm going to talk about obesity. What is it, what causes it, and how prevalent it is in Ireland today. Then I'm going to talk about the effects of obesity, the health effects and the economic effects. And then I'm going to talk about the future, preventing and treating obesity. So first, I'm going to ask you all a question. How many of you took the stairs tonight up to the room? Have a show of hands, please.
No, not one.
Okay, that's an easy percentage. I'll get back to that later on. So obesity, what is it? Obesity is defined by the World Health Organization as a nutritional disorder where body fat has accumulated to such an excess that it adversely affects health. It is defined as a disease, and it's also the most common nutritional disorder in the world today. More common, in fact, than starvation, which is actually a damning indictment really on the human race, if you think about it. It is characterized by a body mass index of over 30, which is very high. I think a normal body mass index is between 18 and 25, and between 25 and 30 is overweight. So what causes obesity? Well, in simple terms, when the energy we take in, our food, is exceeded by is a lot more than the energy we take out, which is exercise. So there are many different contributory factors. In recent years, there's been a huge increase in food processing, and there's been a huge increase in the availability of food. People are much better fed, and lifestyles have also changed over the last 30 years. We're leading much more sedentary lifestyles. Labour-intensive work is much less common than it was years ago, and many of us work in offices and are not doing much exercise during the day or at night. The additives in food have increased a lot as well in the last few years. In recent weeks, I can think of one additive such as horse. A lot of people didn't know that was in their food, but there you go. How prevalent is obesity in Ireland? Well, 1 in 4 adults in Ireland are obese, which is a startling figure really. Obesity has increased hugely in the last 10 years. It's actually up 67% between 1990 and 2000 amongst men. Children don't fare much better, with 1 in 5 children either obese or overweight. So now to the nitty-gritty. People don't really want to know what are the effects of obesity. You have that takeaway, you don't feel like going to the gym or going out for a walk. But there are in fact huge effects, both health and economic. So the health effects, obviously obesity causes an increase in fat levels in the blood, increase in cholesterol, LDL and triglycerides, also increase in blood pressure, which is the leading cause of heart disease. Secondly, obesity causes an increase in blood sugars, which is a leading contributing factor to type 2 diabetes. And thirdly, it's associated with many different cancers, which some of you may not know. And cancer is really on the increase at the moment, which is worrying, very worrying. The economic benefits are, the economic effects are very damning also. Obesity can be attributed to 400 million spending in the health service in direct effects and 700 million in indirect effects. So over €1 billion a year is spent on treating obesity. The effects of these are the direct effects on disease and the indirect effects such as premature deaths and absenteeism from work. It is a global epidemic and it's on the rise, so it's very pertinent at the moment. So what's in store for us in the future? How do we treat obesity and how do we prevent it? Well, given that over the long term we can only expect to 10% of weight loss can only be kept off in the long term. Prevention is the best form, and it's better than cure. So we have to start at an early age. We have to start in schools, giving kids proper nutritional advice. We have to focus and clamp down on marketing towards kids, because once they start young they get habits and it's very hard to break the cycle as they grow up. We also have to be mindful of additives and labelling on food. The government needs to legislate to force the food and manufacturing and beverages industry to properly label food, to make everybody mindful of what they're actually putting in their mouths. Did you know that in Ireland Coca-Cola and cornflakes contain more sugar and more salt than in any other EU country? We have to ask ourselves, why is this? So it's a multidisciplinary approach that is needed across the board. Everybody needs to look at the issue themselves. Over in America, Michelle Obama and Michael Bloomberg have been champions of this cause. The whole idea of supersizing has been tackled, and a lot of work still needs to be done. So, getting back to the stairs at the start, I think it would be a great idea if everybody did a little bit just a small bit to increase their activity. If it's taking the stairs, maybe the stairs will be a weekly challenge towards cutting out obesity in Ireland. So, especially coming up to Lent, it's time everybody had a serious look at this condition in Ireland and the effects it's having on the nation. Thanks very much.